Good afternoon and welcome to Woman to Woman Wednesday. And we are again here with Irene Baron, who is an author and an astronomer and teacher and a photographer, an artist. She has several things in her path there. And today she's going to talk to us and share with us a little bit about being a pilot and doing aerial photography from helicopters, which is a totally non-traditional role for women. And so I'm going to turn this over to Irene to kind of tell us a little bit more about this aspect of her life. Hello, Irene.
Hi, Teresa. Hi, everybody. Glad to see you here. Put on my infrared, invisible specs so I can see everybody.
Right.
I'll start about when I worked with Battelle Memorial Institute out of Columbus, Ohio. I was hired by them. Being a science person, they needed someone in the science field, and they trained me to be an information specialist. They sent me to London, England, with the World Council of Engineers, had a several-week course on anything that had to do with technical writing, and it was phenomenal. It was really good. And from there, then we went to Geneva. They have a Battelle. I can't remember Zurich or Geneva. I think it was Geneva. They had a Battelle there. And then from there, we went to Bangkok, Thailand. Bangkok, Thailand is one half of the way around the world from my hometown. So if I went east or west, the price difference in the airplane ticket was $7. So I would go, if I went to Bangkok, I would go one way and I'd keep going and go all the way around. So I would go around the world. I did that several times while I worked there, and it was kind of fun. But the best part is if you took TWA, when you got to Hong Kong, they have TWA around the world flights. When you got to Hong Kong, the flight left an hour before you arrived. So they put you up for 23 hours. So you got to spend 23 hours in Hong Kong. You just make sure back then, everybody was, you got to get off there in Hong Kong. So that's kind of a fun place to get off. When we got back on one time, they said there was a 45-minute delay. And so then in 45 minutes, another 45 minutes, about the sixth time, they said, there will be another 45-minute delay. We are making a part for the airplane. What? You're in Hong Kong making a part for the TWA airplane. And about half the people just got up and left. I need on this flight. I need to get to work. Yeah. So I stayed and we made it. But I worked for the Office of the Secretary of Defense, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is currently called DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, the Research and Development Center, Supreme Command, Thailand. Big mouthful of words there. Yeah. But I worked with a project. We had the CETO agreement, the Southeast Asia treaty with Thailand, that if they were ever attacked, we were under that treaty, the CETO agreement, we would come to their aid. But it was quickly recognized there weren't any maps. If you were a sergeant and you were bringing in your troops to Thailand to help, counterinsurgency or whatever, you wouldn't have any maps. You wouldn't know anything about the country whatsoever. So this was the project to find out where is potable water. Where can you get water that's safe to drink? Where are the villages? What is the social status within these villages? For example, if a villager, let's say they had on a huge pole, they would put a small portable radio, and on Saturday the village chief would turn it on so that you could hear the national news, and that was all that you knew. There were no schools. The only schools in upcountry Thailand were by missionaries of the Methodist churches. There were 40 upcountry schools. I think in Thailand at that time you had to go to school 4 years. So you think the rest of your life, if you only had first, second, third, and fourth grade, And that was all the knowledge that you had. You had no electricity. You had no TV. You had no electrical appliances. These people up country were extremely poor, to the point that you would have a very difficult time trying to be comfortable. One of the reasons I was hired by Battelle is that I had studied world religions, and they said they knew then that if I went to this country that was primarily Buddhist or Hindu, I wouldn't be what would be called the ugly American, and I wouldn't degrade anyone because of their religion. I understood all the religions, and I respected everyone, no matter what religion they had. So that was one of the reasons I was hired, and the other because I'd had such an extensive background in science. Then they took me to become the information specialist. And what I did was work in counterinsurgency. I had a top secret ranking, and I was told, may I tell my parents what I'm doing? Nope. You can tell them where you are, but you can't tell them what you're doing. Congressmen and senators come to visit. Oh, you can't say a word. You cannot tell them what you're doing. This is top secret work. Okay. And sometimes we did have politicians. You couldn't tell them anything. I was photography director of photography, aerial photography. We had to photograph the whole Mekong River. We got shot at. Yep, we did. Wow. They had a lot of airplanes. These were Sikorsky Helio-19 helicopters run by Air America or the CIA back then. But Air America, they were being shot at quite a bit. So Air America thought, well, if we paint them white, maybe people won't shoot at them because they think maybe that they're terrorists or something. Who knows? So they painted them white, and then everybody shot at them. It was interesting.
Now, what year was this?
This was in the 60s, late 60s. No more.
So you were a female trying to take pictures of a river from a helicopter being shot at in the 60s. That's kind of definitely non-traditional for a female.
That's right. Now this helicopter was like 2 stories. There was an upper level, and the first time I got up into it, I had to sit in the co-pilot seat and to tell the pilot where to go because we had all the engineers down below. The Thai engineers, usually one American, and I would have them line up the plane. So they had like a double door down there. They just had a rope about this big around, about like that, across the door, and it was open. So we couldn't make any fast turns or anything. These guys would just fly out the door. So I had to line up tell the pilot how to line up the aircraft to take the pictures that we needed for the project. And that was kind of exciting. But the first time I went in that helicopter, I thought, well, how do I get in there? So I climbed up on the inside, and just da-da-da-da. So I was up there sitting there, and the pilot got in, and he came in through the window. He said, how'd you get up here? I said, I just climbed up. But he said, well, that's not the way we do it. I said, well, how do you get in the helicopter? He said, you climb up on the outside. There's holes there for your feet so that you can climb up. So after that, I climbed up on the outside of the airplane. But being a single female was kind of fun back then during Vietnam times. Yeah. When I would go to all the air bases, all these American guys, I was the only female. Have the earphones on, and you hear was that a lady? Was that a woman? Was that a girl? Wow, you look like a frog, round eyes like a frog. And it was kind of fun. A lot of stories. And the Korn Phnom, or Karat, some of these air bases were so fantastic. It's where the Phantoms took off. And I would sit beside the taxiway. I would just sit down on the ground, cross my legs, and just watch, because these Phantoms would go by in front of me. They'd go down to the end where they turned. They had the huge red flags on the bombs, and those flags would be pulled, those bombs would be armed. Then they would go down and go on the other runway, and they would take off. And I positioned myself so that right in front of me on the other side of the runway when that airplane took off and the afterburner was on, it was massive power. I loved it. I would sit there for an hour, just when they would take off, it just wow, pure power, noise, everything. It was exciting. I would love to have gone to Phantom, and those guys, I felt so sorry for them. They had to go so many flights, and then they would go home or be recharged or redirected someplace else, have new orders. But every time they reached how many flights, the Department of Defense would increase it. So they kept being there again and again. And these guys said, we're never going to get out of here. They didn't like it because every time they went, they could die. Mm-hmm. They didn't know if they were ever coming back or not. It was horrendous. And I addressed this in my blog. Any person who has been in the military in combat zones cannot sleep. If you're in a combat zone, you can't sleep, because if there's a noise of someone approaching you, maybe to kill you, and you don't hear them and wake up, you're dead.
Right.
So they sleep with half of the mind. They keep the left side of the brain awake. And it's called single hemispheric sleep, or the scientists call it unihemispheric sleep. And it causes so many problems. And I've written about that in my blogs under military and under miscellaneous. I have a blog index that you can go in and see. So many blogs. But that's a topic. We have over 22 veterans or 22 military die a day from suicide. And many of this, they go over there and their body it's instinctive. They're not saying, I'm going to keep half my brain awake tonight. It's instinctive. They have to be alert. Right. And it becomes a learned behavior. So then they come back to the States and they have all these problems, PTSD and anger and just so many things happen. Why am I like this? I wasn't like this before I came. And I speak to military people that have been out of the military for a while, and I say, when was the last time you had a good night's sleep? Before the military. It's a big change, and they don't sleep well again once they go in. And 7% of the population is military, and they protect 100% of us. They're in dire straits sometimes, and the military doesn't really know this because it hasn't been brought out. I think I'm the only one. Being in many different sciences, I relate many different things, and I've related. And when Scientific American Mind, it's got to be my favorite magazine. It's written by Scientific American. It's only about the human mind. And I think it was in 2016, they had a big article about unihemispheric sleep. And it was caused by being in high stress. Policemen, firemen, some teachers. I could say, yeah, I've met some of those kids that kept you awake at night. Right. But I would say everyone in combat, it's an instinctive trait to protect yourself that you have become a person who sleeps with one half of your brain, and you still do it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you could prove it. It would be nice to get like 50 to 100 veterans and that have been in combat, and they can hook them up real easy and find out when they sleep. The left side of their brain is awake. The right side, which is just arty things and doesn't matter with what's happening. Let's say I have this list here just for you. But the left side of the brain is logic, analysis, organization, administration, math and science, knowledge and facts, details, reasoning, strategy, recall, time awareness, etc. You need that to stay alive. So it was the left side of the brain that's there. And if they test them, they should have debriefing when these veterans get out of the military, when they're discharged, so that they are aware of this. And right now I'm preparing a audio I plan to have it up within a week or two, on how to relax the body so well that hopefully will address the brain and you can relax the brain. I don't know what else to do.
That actually sounds like a good thing for a lot of women, especially when they're trying to achieve so many things and all the stress going on, that they need to learn to relax that and get that rest. And maybe that's what leads to a lot of these illnesses that women go through too.
These veterans are so upset with how they behave. They don't know why they're behaving like that. And sleep deprivation causes almost everything that they have that is disturbing them and their family. And they can't take it. They don't understand it, and they commit suicide. That's almost 1 every 65 minutes a veteran commits suicide. And that's unacceptable. Something needs to be done. I wish I had $1 million. I could start these tests, find the doctors to do the tests, or you can probably do it around here, find the veterans to be in it and prove that this happens. Anyway, enough of that.
Okay. Well, that's just phenomenal stories. And if we want to learn more about Irene, I'm gonna post all of her information on her videos, and she's gonna be with us again for the next couple of days, the rest of this week. And again, she's at irenebaron.com. If you want to check out some more about her stories. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Irene, we'll talk to you later.